Kevin, please help me. I fought back tears. This was the first time my mother called me by name. I didn't cry because I was happy. It was because I was sad that she had called me by name just to save herself. I won't help you, Mom. I will never help you. My name is Kevin, and I am an accountant. My father is also an accountant and has his own firm, but I don't work for him. The reason for this is that my mother and brother Jack are troublesome people. My mother spoils my brother very much. It's not the first time. My brother and I are undeniably blood brothers, real children in the eyes of our parents. But for some reason, my mother's heart goes out only to my brother. I don't remember being cared for since I can remember. My brother is 6 years older than me, but he has always had a mean streak in his heart. He would eat the snacks our mother gave him and take mine away from me. Even when I asked my mother for help, she would always side with my brother and say that it was my fault for not eating quickly enough. When I was younger, I did not understand why my mother always took my brother's side, but by the time I was in elementary school, I understood it. My mother used to say that the eldest son is cute and the second son is bratty. Even in such a lie, I was reasonably calm when my father was around. My father often took care of me, but I think my mother didn't like that either. You only like him, don't you? My mother often said such things and took her anger out one way or another. I wish my father could stay at home all the time, but he had just opened an office and was extremely busy, so it was often just the three of us at home, my mother, brother, and me. Even though I knew that only my mother's side of the family would take care of me, as a child I desperately tried to think of ways to get my mother to pay attention to me, and as a young child, the conclusion I came up with was to be a good student. I took my school very seriously and never missed a study session or a homework assignment. That is why I always got 100 points on tests. I would rush home with my 100% test and report it to my mother. Mom, I got 100 on my school test today. Have you ever thought about your brother's feelings? You know that your brother can't get 100 on a test. How do you think he would feel if his younger brother brought home a test with a score of 100? You really are the worst. My brother forcibly took my test and tore it to shreds. I was shocked. I understood then that my mother would not praise me no matter what I did. I picked up the torn test in tears and threw it in the trash. However, when my father came home that night, my parents got into a huge fight. My father had found my torn test. What's this all about? It's Kevin's test. Kevin scored 100%? That's great! Good job! He was showing off. Jack, did you do this? Yes, I did. He was bragging about it. Why the hell would you do that? Apologize to Kevin. Hey, stop that. Jack didn't do anything wrong. It's bad enough that this kid brings 100% score in front of his big brother. What are you talking about? It's the result of Kevin's effort. Jack's poor test scores are Jack's own problem. My father was furious, but my brother, who had my mother on his side, showed no signs of remorse and was indignant the whole time. And this incident led me to live with my grandparents, my father's parents. My grandparents would praise me for being a good kid. They praised me a lot, whether I got 100 or 90 on a test. They also always said, I am happy to be with you, Kevin. Thanks to them, I was able to live a happy life. My father would often visit me and stay with me for half the week. Having my mother and brother no longer around made me feel at ease. I never saw them again until I graduated from college. But when it came time to get a job, I wanted to join my father's office, but they got in the way. They came all the way to my grandparents' house to complain. So, you're trying to work for your father? She seemed to only care about my brother as usual. Yes, that's the plan. You can't! Jack is going to take over your father's office. How is he going to do that? I don't know what she means. My brother is not a licensed accountant and he doesn't work. On top of that, he's still a college student. How many more years does he have to stay in school? When Jack graduates from college, he'll take over and you'll go to another firm. If I joined my father's office, it would cause trouble for me. I didn't want to have anything to do with him anymore, so I decided not to join my father's firm and to work for another firm. 3 years later, I got a call that my father had collapsed, and I rushed to the hospital. Dad, what happened? You've lost some weight. Compared to my father I had seen a month before, he looked slimmer. I'm sorry to worry you, but apparently I have lung cancer. I only have 3 months to live. I was at a loss for words. I couldn't think straight after being suddenly hit with such a reality. He was hospitalized for a week, during which time I went shopping for a change of clothes and other necessities. My mother never once showed up at the hospital, even though her husband had collapsed. She had been supported by my father for so long, but she left him alone. I could not forgive her for that. When he was discharged from the hospital, he was transferred directly to the hospice ward. Entering hospice means that my father would really be gone. A very sad reality lay before me. Even though I knew I had no choice but to accept it, tears welled up in my eyes. I would visit my father in between work and talk with him about various things. The most I could do was talk to him. One day, I returned to my parents' house to get a change of clothes for my father. I heard my mother and brother talking in the living room. "Mom, if he's gone, I'm the president of that firm, right?"
"Of course, you're the eldest son. Besides, if you do the math on your inheritance, it's well over $1 million.
Dad seriously had a lot of money. I was really pissed off because he didn't give me much money.
I know, he was so stingy, giving us only $5,000 a month, but the time will come soon when you will be rewarded for that.
I hope he'll be gone soon. He was crazy to think that Kevin and I are equals. I'm the oldest son in the family.
I know, he shouldn't even get any of the inheritance. It should all be going to you and me.
I can't allow that. My father took good care of me, but of course he never gave up on my brother. My brother ended up being an unemployed idiot who took 6 years to finish college and never got a job, but my father still supported him. I thought that he would have nothing but gratitude for our father, who has devoted himself to such a child. I put my hand on the living room door to argue with all my might, but then I got a notification on my phone. I checked the screen and saw that it was from my father. I quietly slipped out of the house and headed for his hospital room. "Thanks for everything, Kevin. I'm fine." I went home to grab a change of clothes. "I have to talk to you today. I've made some decisions, and I wanted to give you an update." I talked to my father for about an hour and got an idea of what was going on. "See you tomorrow, Dad." "Thank you, Kevin. I was really happy to have you here. Thank you for being born as my son." "Come on, Dad. You don't need to say that. But yeah, I'm happy to be your child too. I respect you, and I love you so much." This is embarrassing. It is quite difficult to say this sort of thing face to face, but I am glad that I was able to express my gratitude to my father at that time. I am sure that my father knew that he was reaching the end of his life, because this was the last conversation I had with him. That night, his health suddenly changed and he died at dawn. In the end, I was the only one who rushed to the hospital. My mom and brother never once showed up there. But they did have something to say about the funeral.
"Let's make sure the funeral is really cheap."
When I returned to my parents' house, my mother said something outrageous. "What are you talking about? I won't let you do that."
"You don't have the authority to say that. We're the ones paying for it."
"That's enough. I'll pay for it."
"I see. I'll leave it all to you."
"I guess it's fine if it's his money." They were greedy to no end. In the end, I was the host and my brother was the pallbearer. My mother and brother didn't pay for anything, but they acted as if they themselves had made the funeral a high-grade affair. It seems that my father was well liked by many people. Many people attended the funeral. As expected, after the funeral, the two of them immediately started talking about money.
"I was so glad to finally get rid of that man. He was a pain in the ass right to the end. But I'm getting a big nuisance payment for this, so let's call it good, shall we?"
"Yeah, and I'm the boss now."
"That'll be fun."
"Kevin, you gotta give me your inheritance." Dad had a lawyer handle his assets before he died, so you'll have to ask him. "I haven't heard anything about that." "I've already contacted him, and he'll explain it to you tomorrow." "Tomorrow? We have our own schedule, don't we? Don't make plans on your own." "Oh, so you're going to say no?" "I guess I have no choice but to clear my schedule." What was he talking about? He doesn't even work, and his schedule is empty. The next day, the lawyer visited my parents' house. Naturally, I went to my parents' house at the same time.
"My name is Brown, and I am an attorney. I am very sorry for your loss. Please accept my sincerest condolences. I have been entrusted by Mr. Robb with regard to the inheritance. Mr. Robb told me, before his death, that his office will be transferred to Mr. Kevin free of charge."
"What do you mean? I'm the president of the company."
"We have not heard anything like that. We have been told that for the sake of the employees working in the office, Mr. Kevin will be in charge of the office now."
"That old man, he's just going about his business."
"Well, it's fine. If he takes over that office, then we can just take the money."
"That's true. It's a pain in the ass to have an office anyways. Just give me the $1 million as soon as you can."
"The only person getting the inheritance is Mr. Kevin. No one else is listed on the will." "Excuse me?" "Simply put, you will not receive a single penny of Mr. Robb's inheritance."
"What does that mean?"
"What have you done?"
It's an obvious conclusion. You didn't even come to visit him in the hospital once, and you didn't do anything when Dad was living here, did you? I know everything. Dad made his own meals, laundry, and personal care, didn't he? And he still gave you $5,000 a month, so you should be grateful.
"That's fine. I'm the beneficiary on his life insurance."
Dad ended that contract.
"You're kidding!"
"It's the truth. He wasn't planning to give us a dime." The lawyer told them the facts in a matter-of-fact manner and left the house. My father had explained this to me just before he passed away, and I accepted to take over my father's office. It was impossible for my brother to become president. He would never pass the accounting exam. Now, the real battle was about to begin. I left the house with a lawyer, but there was no way my mother and brother would be okay with receiving nothing. Then, as I should have expected, a terrible incident broke out a few months later. My father's accounting firm had already been transferred to me, and I was working with renewed energy. The police called me and told me that they had caught someone trespassing in the office. Moreover, they revealed the outrageous and crazy fact that it was my brother. I had often heard that the police do not intervene in family disputes, but my brother was easily arrested for trespassing in my office. "This is my company!" he was yelling around the office. When we attended the scene of the crime, we found that the safe had numerous scratches on it, a sign that the person was trying to steal something of value. Surprisingly, my mother was also arrested later that day. She was considered an accomplice to the crime because she had tactically approved of my brother's actions and had driven him to and from the office. I did not hesitate to file a damage report. I will make sure they both pay for their crimes. My mother was put under house arrest, but my brother was sentenced to prison. I hope he will reflect on his crime while he's locked up. After that, my mother visited me once. She was in need of money and asked me to help her out, but I refused. My mother vehemently criticized me, but this person was already gone from my mind. No matter what was said, my feelings were not moved.
"Kevin, please help me!"
I fought back tears. This was the first time my mother called me by name. I didn't cry because I was happy. It was because I was sad that she had called me by name just to save herself. "I won't help you, Mom. I will never help you. Did you think that no matter what you did to a child, they would love you? You never loved me, Mom. I hate you and my brother. If my brother ever gets out of prison and comes to my office again, this time the prison sentence will be even longer. I don't mind reporting you to the police again." My mother has not visited me since. As a last act of mercy, I allowed her to live in our family home without selling it. Since I have the house, I can live the rest of my life any way I want. Although I was not blessed with a mother and a brother, I like my life. What path I choose is my own. My goal now is to protect my father's office. Today, too, I will face the numbers with sincerity. I guess each child has her own personality, but parents are a big influence. I am glad Kevin has proper grandparents. I hope you continue to have wonderful days ahead. Thank you for watching. How did you like today's story? Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next story.